episode of Raw and Unscripted. Kellyanne and I are back. We were just sitting here going, is this episode 25? Is this episode 26? And then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We are so happy to be back. It's been a few weeks, and we're going to talk about why we've been away for a few weeks in just a moment. But we're back, and we're excited to come back and share. We love to talk on this podcast, what we like to call our weekly podcast here. We love to talk about conversations that we believe will help shift you, move you, inspire you, encourage you, everything around mindset, everything around self-love. Today, we're going to be diving into how to really connect and listen to that inner voice that is inside of you, that is your mentor, the voice that is going to support you and help you through times where you need it. And also, it's the voice that helps to let you see what's possible for your life, right? Hi, Kellyanne. Good morning.
Hi, Ann. I'm excited to be back. I have been on vacation, and that's why we have been absent for a couple weeks. I went with my husband and my mom and dad to Scotland, which is where my mom is from. So it was a really amazing trip, and I am so fortunate that at my age, I still have both of my parents, and that they are well enough to be able to travel to Scotland. And so it was just a great, it was kind of my mom's final trip back to her home. So it was pretty amazing. So that's why we've been absent, but hey, that's the life that we have created, right, Kim? Is that we get to have the freedom to live our lives and still do the things that we love, like being on this podcast, like sharing this podcast with you.
I love that. I'm so glad that you had that time away. And I know that you've been home now for almost a week, but it's always that transitional time. So I am so happy that you had a great time and ready to dive in. I just want to welcome Liz and Kim. And I'm just saying, if there's anybody else here, right now in the comments, we're saying, I need this conversation. I need this. I need this. We so do. We all need this. The last time we came together on Ron Unscripted, we talked about our inner critic. We all are very familiar with the critical voice that comes from inside of us, that is always telling us why, we shouldn't do something or why we need to be better. It's the voice that's harmful, that hurts us, that shames us, right? So today we are here to flip it up, because we have to be able to know how to tap into what we're calling that inner mentor voice. There's a book that both Kellyanne and I have read. It's called Playing Big, and it's a fantastic book. And in there, they're also talking about the voice of our inner mentor. We all have this voice. We all have this voice. It's just that the critical voice is louder. The critical voice is judgmental. It is shameful. It is bossy. It is aggressive. Whereby our inner voice is softer. It's encouraging. It doesn't need to be like up on a pedestal at you, right? And so we're going to dive into it today. And I thank you all. Hi, Karen. Nice to have you here. Are you good, Kellyanne? I know you've been.
You know what? I'm trying to. I forgot to make sure that my everything was set for me to share this on my Facebook. I totally forgot. I'm out of practice with this. So all the things I had to do. So yes, I am good. I am good. And
Breathe.
Yes, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
So I think that this topic of inner mentor for me is definitely one that I really work on embodying, because I tend to be, and I think we all are kind of conditioned that we need to go outside of ourselves to, we look for mentors in our life. We look for people who are doing the things that we want to do. For me, I know I always look for somebody else to get information from, to learn from. I'm always looking for that outside of myself. And that I think that is my way of, I don't trust my inner wisdom. I don't trust my inner mentor enough. And that's why I'm always searching for something outside of myself. And I believe, even though I'm still learning it, my
Mhm.
belief is that we have what we need inside of us. And that inner wisdom, that inner mentor, that is the truest part of us. The part that um, all of the conditioning has been put on, all of the limiting beliefs. It's that part deep inside that actually holds so much wisdom, that if we can tap into it, we can fully understand and guide ourselves. I guess I kind of see our inner mentor, my inner mentor, as a GPS.
Yeah. I was gonna say like a compass, right?
Yes, like it's like your compass. It's,
Mhm.
if you are able to tap into it, and I really do believe that it takes some work.
Mhm.
I don't think anybody can just tap into it like that. I think that inner critic is so, so strong and
Mhm.
so loud and so bossy that it takes time to get quiet and to listen and to hone into that, what that inner mentor is saying. But I think when we do, we can actually find our truest path. We can actually be led to where we are meant to go, to that most authentic, that most real path that we're meant to take. Our inner mentor knows that. We just need to learn how to tap into it more completely.
Yeah, I love everything that you've just shared, and I believe our inner mentor is like so patient.
Mhm.
She's so patient, and she's like I'm picturing this fairy godmother right now in my mind. I'm like, come, sweetheart, just come, just walk with me, right? She's got her hand out, maybe she's offering a cup of tea, and she's just saying, let's go together, right? But I think about that so much. Like I have sought when I do this often, right? We sometimes it helps us understand why we are who we are when we give ourselves the ability to reflect, to look back. And my whole life, I have been searching outside of myself for
Mhm.
the answers. I think we do that because we don't want to make mistakes.
Mhm.
Right. And of course, there's a million reasons why we don't want to make mistakes, right? We're afraid of judgment. We want to do things right. I also think that we get this feeling of I'm short on time. I'm short on time and I need to get the answers. And I want you to tell me you've done it already.
Mhm.
You've
Mhm.
done it already. You know, I like your life. I like how you look. So you
Mhm.
tell me how to do it. But the problem with that is that we all know that each of our souls has its own path, its own journey that it's going on, right? And we're not, first of all, we're not all meant to go in the same direction. We're not all supposed to get to the same place in the same way. So that's where it lies a problem, because if you're taking guidance from other people all the time, then sometimes you actually get where you think you want to go based on what they've shared with you and you searching the answers from them, and you get there and you're like,
Mhm.
okay, so now what? Right? So now what? And I'm sure those of you that are listening, I'm sure you felt that on some level, right? And maybe the way somebody else has done something, that's how I pay attention to it. Like when I start, I agree with you when it comes to our inner mentor, it takes practice, and it takes trust. It takes trust when that inner mentor, or when my inner mentor is asking me to be a little bit braver, when my inner mentor is asking me to be a bit more vulnerable,
Mhm.
to step out of my comfort that I've kept myself in. It takes so much courage to do that, and
Mhm.
it takes the willingness, to me, again, I'm just speaking from my own experience, to be able to do it and be absolutely okay with whatever happens, because the more you continue to try and listen to that inner mentor, because maybe you weren't supposed to have this magical experience from that time you did that thing, maybe
Mhm.
that was more wisdom and lessons that you needed, right? But the more we listen, the more we trust, the more we follow through, I believe that connection with our inner mentor gets stronger. We strengthen it, right? And then it's like it's our intuition, right? It comes up more to the surface. And it's like we're turning down the volume of the ego, we're turning down the volume of the critical voice and allowing that inner mentor voice to take up more space, for us to just adjust our dial a little bit to listen to it instead of listening to that, right? It takes practice, but we know it's the way through. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that a good way, it's easy to identify your inner critic because it's so loud and it's so, as I say, I like to call it bossy because it's insistent and you can't ignore it because it's there for all of us all the time. Like that's just our natural way of being. Our inner wisdom, our inner mentor, is really something that I think we have to spend some time. Um, and I have found it helpful to be able to write down what actually, like, we're talking about our inner mentor, but some people listening might be saying, how do I even identify my
Mhm,
inner mentor?
mhm.
So, what has been helpful for me is to actually picture myself as the best version of me. Who do I aspire to be? What is the woman that I want to be? And to write down those qualities. What do I want? What do I want to embody? And when you actually write those things down, that is actually who you are at your core. You just might not feel that way right now. And that's maybe not what you're embodying right now. But when you write down those things and get really clear about who is she, who is that woman that you want to be, who is you might call her your higher self,
Yep.
your, or your inner mentor, they're all kind of interchangeable as that woman that you want to be. Who do you want to become? And when you write down those characteristics that she has, then you can begin to understand who she is, what she is, where she can play a role in your life. And you can start to ask her to guide you.
I love that. I love that. I so beautiful because that's a key, right? If we don't know how to tap into her, then we're again stuck, right? We let ourselves stay stuck. So if if you're listening to what Kelly Ann just said and you're like, oh, but I don't know what I want. Another way I always like to say this is, then what do you not want? Right? What do you not want? So if you're saying, you know what, I am afraid, I don't speak up for myself, so then you might think of the opposite. I want to be someone who uses my voice. I want to be someone who take risks. I want to be someone who is does things because I want to do them, not because somebody else says I should, right? Like, so start to think about that. What's the opposite of maybe where you are right now? And knowing that we know, this is the thing about the mind. We know that anything is possible for ourselves. So when you do that little brain dump and you get a place of recognizing what it is that you want for your life, as Kellyanne just said, now you get to start to move through life and look for opportunities where you're like, yeah, this is not me living as my higher self. This is not me reaching and seeing my truest potential. I want to say right there in those moments, and if you can't do it in that exact moment, then at least take a moment later on in the day to reflect on that experience. And this is where I'm going to say invite in curiosity, inviting curiosity to connect with your inner mentor. Kellyanne just mentioned, even asking her questions. So it's like you could be sitting there and envision this higher version of yourself. Maybe you even know what she looks like or what she would be feeling like. We'll talk more about that later on. And then you sit with her and you ask her, what is it that I need to know? Tell me what I can do in this moment. You speak to her like she is your truest best friend who wants everything the best for you. Ask her for wisdom, ask her for guidance, ask her for support, and just stay curious around it. When what we know, and I speak about this when it comes to speaking out to the universe or speaking to God, whatever it is you believe in, but it's like when you start to pose questions to something that is higher than you, something that you physically can't hold on to and see, but you know that is there energetically with you. When you pose questions to it, you might not always get the answers right away, or at least you can't feel them or connect with them. But the more you do that, the more that wisdom will come forward. And of course, we have to create the space. I can't be running around doing A, B, C, and D and try and throw the question in while I'm running into the elevator. Like, it doesn't work like that. It's about asking the question and taking some minutes for yourself to see what starts to show up for you. Where does it show up for you? Do you feel it energetically? Do you feel it somewhere in your body? I feel my inner mentor speaks to me through my heart space. I feel it come through in my throat because a lot of the time my inner voice is wanting, or my inner mentor is wanting me to speak more out, and
Mhm.
share. But these are some tips for you.
And I think I love what you're saying, Kim. And when most of us spend our time listening to our inner critic, you can't hear your inner critic and your inner mentor at the same time.
Mm,
So being able to I think the first step in this really is quieting your inner critic. And I think when you start, that is a huge transformation in your life. When you go from almost like listening to the devil to listening to the angel on your shoulder, when you're able to, as you said, turn down the volume of the inner critic and turn up the volume of your inner mentor, that's when your life really changes, because you are being called to do things that are actually in alignment with your higher self, with your purpose, with
mhm,
what you are meant to do. And as you begin to do those things, I always say to people that you whatever you're looking for, you will find. So when you start to look for that inner wisdom, when you start to pay attention to the signs, when you quiet that ego, that critic inside you, that's when you start to see that your inner wisdom, your inner mentor is actually speaking to you. And it might not be voices in your head, it might be signs to you, it might be that little bit of courage that you feel, it might be that nudge that you feel to do something that's outside of your comfort zone. But that it's almost like your inner mentor is asking you to do things that, if you were brave enough to be your authentic self, those are the things you're being called to do. And it's like it's your, we talked about it being your GPS or um your compass. If you look at your inner mentor as your North Star, that is what you aspire to be. That is what is guiding you. And ask yourself, when you get into a situation, and it's funny, I did this just this week. So I had been on vacation, kind of living out of a suitcase, wearing clothes kind of over and over again, not looking my best every day. And this week, I said to myself, if I want to be the woman who I aspire to be, how do I need to dress?
mhm,
And one day I made a decision. Okay, I need to dress like the woman I aspire to be. If I'm going to be a strong businesswoman, um, I need to, part of who I aspire to be, she looks a certain way.
mhm.
And I dressed up that day And I can't believe the difference that I felt in myself. Like I felt more confident. I felt more, um, I felt like I was embodying that woman. And I think when you look at different situations in your life, ask yourself, what would my inner mentor do in this situation?
Mhm.
What would she, I mean, if you're working on your fitness, what would she do? Would she get up and go to the gym? Yeah, she probably would. would, you know, would she wear her sweats or would she wear her nice clothes when she's going out to meet with a client? Like whatever it is,
Mhm.
right?
Mm. Yeah, I love that question. And then, so if you take any, I mean, I'm not certainly telling you what to take from our episode today, but like that to me, again, I'm like literally living this right now. That what you just said, even though I've heard it before and I said it before, it resonates with me. I can take that statement, what would she do? I'm actually phrasing it that way. What would she do? People have said to me, and again, I know that you made a comment on one of my posts when one of my clients was you know what our clients often do, or people often do is like, oh, this person did this for me, but no, you did this for yourself.
Mhm,
You did this for yourself, and being able to own everything that you have accomplished, and
mhm,
know that you've got that in you, and that you can say that. The reason I brought that up, I just had a side red squirrel there for a second, or not a red squirrel, red shiny object squirrel. But, like, instead of it being, "Oh, Kim's sitting on my shoulder," because 'cause I've had people say, "Oh, Kim, you're sitting on my shoulder."
mhm.
No, I want, okay? I
Yeah.
want you to tap into that higher self, that higher version of you. She's right there with you, guiding
Mhm,
you. So you've got one on each shoulder. You got this one that's holding you back, and you got this one that's saying, "Be brave, sister, be brave. Let's
mhm.
do this together. The future is so bright for you. Come with me." Right? You get to choose. So being able to pause in those moments, and you're gonna feel scared, like Kellyanne, like think about all the things, right? All the things. Right now, I've been in a season for a while. I've told you this already. I've shared this a little bit, but I am in a season, and I just said to somebody recently, instead of being afraid of this season and telling myself stories about this season that I'm in and what it means, I'm just going, you know what, this is where I am. What do I
Mhm,
need right now? I need more play. I need more joy. I need to raise my vibration. That's what my inner mentor wants to do. She's like, just go. It's going to be all right. Just
mhm.
go. Trust me. Right.
Yeah.
That's what we need, because again, we've already spoke about this many times, is we are well taken care of. We are taken care of. We do have to do the work, right? We have to
Mhm,
show up for our
mhm.
lives, but we're going to be taken care of, through the different seasons that we go through. So,
And for myself, I often and I find myself doing this more regularly. And this becomes a habit. Like this is something that once you start to listen more to your inner mentor, this will begin to become a habit for you.
mhm,
And that's the ideal situation, is that you begin to make decisions, you begin to choose your words, you begin to choose your actions from that place of your inner mentor rather than your inner critic. And I used to be somebody who didn't think before I spoke. I just blurted things out. I just said what was in my head. And what I have learned is to slow down. And I ask myself that question: who do I want to be in this moment? Do I want to follow my inner critic? Do I want to follow, um, kind of my pain and my hurt? Or
mhm,
do I want to follow the wisdom that's within me? Do I want to follow that version of me that I aspire to be? And I know for me, that has made a huge difference in my life, is is taking the time to stop, whether it's a decision you have to make, a response you have to give, whatever it is, but taking that time to say, who do I want to listen to right now? Because most of us were never taught that we have any wisdom inside of us. Most of us were never taught that we had this wise place inside of us. And that's, I think that's a reclamation of what we have deep inside that, um, unfortunately, so many of us just never believed was there. And when you say, when I say to people, everything you need is inside you, many people say, oh, that's not true.
Mhm.
I've got nothing,
Yeah.
or everything I have is negative. And so it's just reminding people and tuning into it. One of the things that I've learned that has been so helpful for me is to imagine a table,
Mhm.
and you are sitting on one side of the table, and your inner mentor is sitting on the other side. And you can share all the things that you think to your inner mentor, and then listen to her perspective on things. Listen
Mhm.
to her perception of events. Imagine she is above it all. She can see what you can't see in the moment,
Mhm.
and allow her to speak. Because when you do allow her to speak, your perception will shift.
Mhm. So again, it's what we choose to listen to, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. And then another thing that came up for you when you shared that example was, again, even if you were more of a pen to paper person, you write down all of your critical, the critical words, the critical voice on the left side of the page, and then
Mhm.
you look at it, and then just have fun, just stay curious, and go, okay, this is what my critical voice is saying right now. What could my inner mentor, what could my higher self say to me about this experience, right? So
Mhm.
some of you that are more pen to paper people, some of us are better in our minds, and others put it on paper. But that's another way. Again, we can look at that as a term of reframing things. But it allows you to get out. We have to just get out of our own way, right? And I know that that's not easy. But when you made the comment about, the person who says, um, I don't have any inner wisdom in me, right? That's such an automatic reaction because we look at our minds tend to only remember all the times that we messed up, screwed up, made mistakes, fell apart, okay? And of course, we're telling ourselves our own story about that experience. We only have the version of it that we're choosing to see it as,
Mhm.
which tends to be critical.
Mhm.
But if you can allow yourself to now look at it, like, again, I'm going to give this example. I can think about the darkest, most difficult time of my life that I've had so far, because I'm sure there'll be more of them. And it was scary. I felt like a failure. I now look at that season now, 7 years later, I look at that season of my life, and it's exactly what I needed during that time. Because if we tend to run from things all the time, we're not going to allow ourselves that space, right? So if you can do that, maybe I have tears coming up whenever I talk about that time of my life. Um, when you can do that, and you can look back on the things that you have achieved, the things that you've made it through. This is the voice of your inner mentor, the voice that says you have everything that you need. You are gathering those tools all along. That's allowing you to be your beautiful self. And let's remember that this higher version of ourself, she is not perfect. She does not have this glorious life. She is a beautiful soul who rises and falls and picks herself up, and she doesn't make it mean anything about her.
Mhm. Right.
Right. So I think it's just important that we think about that too, that we remind ourselves that life is not always going to be this beautiful experience, right? Like we are human beings,
Mhm.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. And I think, I love that you shared that, Kim. And I think once we understand that these are just different perspectives, like we believe that our inner critic is actually our truth. It's not our truth. It is a perception we have of ourselves. It's
Mhm.
thoughts that we just keep thinking,
Mhm.
and they are just thoughts. They are not our reality. So when you can really make that connection that this is one perspective, the one that I have really probably been practicing for my whole life,
Over. Mhm.
but it's not my reality.
Mhm.
My inner mentor, my inner wisdom is another perspective. So, it's like, what would you say to your best friend? Right? Like, if I told you, Kim, all the things that I thought were wrong with me, all the places I was failing, I know that you would say to me, yeah, Kellyanne, but look at all these things,
Mm.
that all these positive things.
Mhm.
That's your inner wisdom when you can allow yourself to be kind to yourself. When you can say to yourself the things that you would say to a friend,
Mhm.
that's when you're giving yourself true compassion.
Mhm.
That's when you are treating yourself with respect and compassion, and that kindness to yourself, that is going to serve you so much better than beating yourself up, which we are so good at doing,
Mm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. We really are.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just looking at our yeah, we wanna start to wrap this up. So, you know, for everyone that's listening and for the comments that are coming in, thank you so much for being here with us. Remember, these conversations are amazing. We are so happy that you're here. But now it's a matter of what you choose to do with them, right? Because
Mhm.
otherwise, as we've already said, this critical voice will continue to be louder. It will continue to reroute you. So when your path is feeling like it wants to go here, but then that inner voice says, but you should go over here. This is what you should be doing. Okay. And you choose to reroute yourself. Okay. We have to be able to feel that inner mentor's voice. So think about that. What would she do? What would she do? We've got this wisdom within us, but we have to give ourselves permission to
Mhm.
explore it and try it out. Okay, I'll give you an analogy before we wrap this up and we talk about what we want to share with you today. If I go into a dressing room at a clothing store and I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm going to try it on. I'm going to try something on and see how it feels. That is what we're asking you to do with your inner mentor. Remember, if I don't want to feel like this, if I don't want to think like this, what do I want? This is the voice of our inner mentor, our higher self. And then you can invite yourself to interact with her as you move throughout your day.
I love that. I love that. And Kim and I believe so deeply in this whole concept. And this is something that we both work on in our lives. And that we want to share something with you. We don't have all the details yet, but we want to share with you that we are going to invite you, not on the podcast, but at a different time. We're going to do an experience where you will have an opportunity to really step into your higher self with a kind of a visioning technique. And we're going to dive into this more because we really believe that this is important. So watch for details. As I say, it will not be part of a podcast. It will be in a Zoom room, a little bit more private and personal and intimate. But we hope that you'll join us for this because we believe that this is a really important journey to take to get to that higher version of yourself. And I think we're all called to do that. That's part of what we are meant to do, to expand, to grow, and to become the best version of ourselves we can be.
I love that. And yes, yes, Hannah, I knew exactly what you were talking about in that comment. So yeah, we'll tell you more about that as we bring the details forward. But this is an opportunity for us to come together in a private space to experience and to meet your higher version of yourself. And so we're excited to bring that forward
Mhm.
to you. Yeah.
Mhm.
I will just to wrap up, and I know you want to talk about your offering. I want to just invite everyone that's listening that as a reminder, both Kellyanne and I work with our clients one-on-one. We work in group settings. I also have a beautiful membership space for women to come together who are working on all versions of themselves to step into that higher version. So if you ever have questions about the services that I offer, how you can work with me, just reach out to me. I am here. I do not have an assistant answering my messages. It is me who answers, and I'm pretty easy to talk to. So please reach out to me, and we can certainly have a little virtual chat and get to know each other a little bit more. Kellyanne, do you want to talk about your offering?
Yeah, I just want to share that I am part of an amazing summer bundle. And I don't know if you've ever heard of bundles before, but this is put on by my coach, Faith Mariah, in her community. And what it is, it's 50 creators and coaches who have come together to offer amazing free things for you that they would normally charge for. And I have in my program, or in my offering, in this bundle is a program, a masterclass, and a workbook and affirmations. And it's called The Power of I Am. Transform your self-image. So if you are interested in getting that for free and amazing other things, please check out my social media, or thefaithmariah.com. You can sign up for it there. It's only available until June 8th, but it's over $2,400 worth of free things. So why wouldn't you want to check it out?
Tell me, this sounds amazing. I just wrote it in the chat. Did I spell it correctly?
I just want to check and make sure that that's what it is.
Yeah, I jumped again. Doesn't that sound amazing? It sounds so good. It sounds so good. So I think everybody needs to take advantage of that offering.
Hold on, best. Of course, I can't find it right now as I'm.
You can also reach out to Kellyanne, but she definitely has it on her stories, and
yes,
if you're on her email,
I do. So yeah, but yeah, www.faithmariah.com.
Okay, so there you go. Take the out.
Yeah.
I wrote it in there for you all.
Okay.
Awesome. So guess what? We are coming back next week. We will be here next Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So please come back and join us. Don't forget too that we have our entire YouTube channel that is housing all of the previous episodes that we have offered on the Tuesdays. That's available to you to watch at any time. So please go check it out. Raw and Unscripted. You'll see us on the profile there, and you can check out the page. And of course, if you have anything you want to learn about, if you have any questions, maybe you're needing some support with something, and it could be something that we could dive into in our episodes, please reach out to us and let us know, and we would be happy to bring that forward. All right. Beautiful, beautiful. You did that as a private chat. Did you mean to, Kellyanne?
Oh, no, I meant to do it as a, so that's actually the link, but I can't, that's the only way I can do it for some reason.
Oh, friends. Oh, friends. Okay, stay with us for 1 second. This is so raw and unscripted, and I'm so doing it because this is what we are about on here. So I am typing something into the chat so that it is the link to the bundle.
Yes.
I hope that this is going to work for you because I'm literally putting it there.
Yes. Thank you, Kim, because I can't, for whatever reason, I can't enter anything into the chat.
Go figure. And I always thought I was the one that I was like, oh, there we go.
No, I can't do anything in the chat. So
that's a little bit of a tip for Restream. They need to fix that.
Yeah. Well, I think you unlock me. It looks like I'm locked. So
I put you in a lock.
We'll figure all that out. But we hope that you all have an amazing week. Thank you for being with us, and we will see you next week.
Bye, everyone.